Hey guys, gonna be doing a quick, listen to me. I'm gonna go ahead and pour myself a drink because this is not gonna be quick. This is gonna be a long ass video. I'm going to be doing a detailed personal tier list of every hero in the game. Depending on how long things go, I might skip a few. But I'll make sure I'll skip heroes that aren't out, or maybe I'll skip some of the blue gene heroes that are not really expected to do anything for anybody. If you got rage, congrats. That'll be one of the ones I'm talking about. And yeah, the very first thing I want to do is draw your attention to a particular website, one that I used in the very beginning, just to get some great information. The only particularly useful information I actually got, I'll show you. So the site's called fantasywartacticsforum.com. We'll get back to that in a bit. The top looks like this. It's pretty good. Pretty nice site. Decent community. Everything's kind of nice on it. And this right here. Oh, that I've lost bit. Alright, this is the only really extremely useful thing I got off the site. It's a compilation of all of the characters and different stats of all the characters. At the top you can see somebody's trying to do their skills and whatever too, but you can click on all the characters' skills yourself. You can find out what they do. Anyway, find some extremely good information on this site, like how if you compare Chris, the White Knight at slot 10, to Alex in slot 2 here, even though Alex isn't a tank, he's literally better than her at everything. It's just kind of funny. For a tank to be outclassed by a balanced hero in, like, you know what, MP and attack makes sense, but HP and defense do not make sense. Especially because Alex's skills just blow Chris's out of the water. Chris's have good utility for bosses, but if we're going to talk about heroes based off of how their utility works against certain bosses, what Chris's best trait is for her defense reduction skill, for example, is the fact that everybody can raise her and max it easily. She's not end game top tier. She's not useless, but she's good and well balanced, but she's not somebody you should be investing that much in. Bearman, on the other hand, as you can see, just shy of 34,000 base health. The highest health in the game. Maybe that's a tank you wanna invest in. That 4,000 health doesn't seem like much, but just trust me, these base stats transfer a lot more than you think. I don't understand why, because the math just doesn't seem to be there every time I'm trying to work it out in my head, but base stats are very important. Bearman's going to be the only one of these characters, tanks that is going to really blow out attack. Probably you'll probably be able to have 30,000 attack Bearmans. To be honest, if you're rich and pumping in sets, throw an Eldrika's Trinity on there, a lot of attack to HP, HP to attack potentials and things like that. Currently, I think my Bearman has 24 or 25,000. I do not have an Eldrika's Trinity set. Apparently, I'm not quite rich enough. I also don't have a Pathfinder set, which is what I have a tanky aggro set, which is very useful. But if I want to pump crazy ass stats instead of utility, then I would rather have a Pathfinder set on my Bearman. The Pathfinder set and then the Eldrika's Trinity. That would be so awesome, because with potential sets like another 60, it'd be like doubling your health basically. Anyway, this list is extremely useful for personal research. I really suggest you look this kind of stuff up if you really want to see how these things pan out for everybody. Have everything right across the board. You can look up things just in the game if you haven't unlocked the character. If you have the character unlocked and you were wondering now, well, where do you stand up somewhere else? This will be great. Also, I'm doing it on my tablet, so it's not that useful. But if you do it on a computer, you can filter the tabs and sort everything, so you can see the highest attack, the lowest attack, the highest MP, highest HP, critical, things like that. But that's a pretty useful thing. If you don't know this about little things like this, just look up a spreadsheet. There's probably other ones, but this is the one that I used. Anyway, we're going to go into this forum again for a second, and I'm going to look at this tier list. Pre-winter update, PvP hero tier list. It was apparently put up on the 16th of December, as you can see there at the top. Now, I'm going to start by saying this tier list is absolute bullshit. It is probably the worst. I've never played a game where somebody has come to such bad conclusions and taken the time to make a list of their opinions that has been so far from the truth. Generally, people on forum communities are very, very, especially people who are posting things like a tier list that people can benchmark stuff off of. Most of these people are very, very well researched, but apparently for this game that's just not the case. There's not that many comments, but you can imagine the kind of things that they're saying. I'm pretty much going to tear this apart. The gods tier, which is above tier 1, if you're wondering. Tier 1 is something different. Jack, Carrot, Dominique, and Chenny. Now, I agree that Chenny belongs definitely in, if you want to have a gods tier above tier 1, I believe that Chenny does belong in the gods tier if you want to do it by his, but I'm just going to go tier 1. Chenny's tier 1. All these other characters are absolutely terrible. Jack the Werewolf, he's talking about 1v1 PvP here. Jack is not a good 1v1 PvP hero. Any hero with movement reduction, let's think of the highest ones. Let's say Alfred, Lena, Nox, who is on this gods list that he's put up. They can make basically Jack impossible. They could, with enough mana, they could just attack him all day. The thing is, Jack's not going to survive more than 2 to 3 hits from any of them. He'll probably survive 1 hit from Nox if he's lucky. But Jack's a 1-to-1 range hero for all of his skills. He's not a good PvP choice. He's not a good PvP tank either, because he's the only tank without the PvP stat. Now, what is the PvP stat for an aggro character? Well, it's the same as the PvE stat, because all the PvP is controlled by AI. It's aggro. And Jack is the only tank in the game, to my knowledge, that doesn't even have aggro. Alex, the balanced hero that we were talking about, that has higher stats all across the board than Chris, even he, as a balanced hero, has a passive that gives him aggro, so he can be built and played as a replacement in the very, very late game as your tank hero, which would be better to have a 7,000 some base attack character who's also paper. Good paper characters are in short supply right now. Well, not really, it's just the best paper characters just are not playable yet. But some of these things are just we're going to go through the whole list, and it's absolute garbage. Carrot, my Bear Man one-shots Carrot. Every Carrot, actually. There isn't a single Carrot on the ladder that doesn't get one-shot by my Bear Man. Now, Bear Man is scissored, but he is a tank. I'm sorry. He actually doesn't... I'm so happy every time I see Carrot in somebody's team. In the first slot especially, because he'll run into my Bear Man almost all the time. Carrot's great as a second slot character, but not a first slot. And even then, you should really only be playing her if you know they have really heavy rock. And Carrot can snipe people off, or maybe if you know, like for example, I use my carrot in PvP on occasion against a player named Blue Sapphire because he has the most stacked gear-wise Jack of anybody in the game. I have my gear decked out in a certain way now that I don't actually feel it's necessary to do it anymore. I think Aaron's son actually got an Eldriga's Trinity on his Jack now, and they're fairly even. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird. I've been sick for the last 4 to 5 days, so heads up if I cough or sneeze or anything like that. But anyway, I'm just gonna go through his list. Jack is a pure PvE. They have to have like a 500,000 health kind of boss hero, because his damage is always out of scale where you're at in different stages of the game against bosses, because their health is always comparable to 5 or 6 of your heroes added together. So Jack always appears to be very good, but he's not. He can't really do what tanks are supposed to, which is make everything attack them. Like if you believe in the Holy Trinity, which is DPS, tank heals, for any kind of RPG game, then the tank is supposed to not be the healer. The tank's supposed to make sure he gets all the attacks. But Jack can't prioritize attacks onto himself in any way because he doesn't have aggro. He can get sets that have aggro, but most people are not big spenders and won't be getting sets. That's all I can really say about him. And the people that are the big spenders, Jack is way too weak to be on their team. Now, 2 of the top players in the game, Blue Sapphire and Aaron's son, both have Jack in their team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if Jack went away later for a good hero, but I'll leave that up to them. Dominique's a dodge twink, and it's like all the both battle suits. If we're talking like straight late game, first off, hit is a very easy stat to stack. So dodge really isn't that great because dodge soft caps, or you know what? We'll call it dodge having a roof around 63-64%. Right at 60% is like infinity dodge. Like you would have a ghost step set and kill somebody with Dominique, and you're still like 65-66% dodge. Like there's no invincibility from never being able to get hit. It doesn't exist. You can have very high dodge, but the best you can do is have a 1 in 3 or like a 40% chance that you're going to get hit, and that's if they have 0 hit rate. So it's just not. She's just not really worth it. Some people will disagree, especially in the lower ranks, saying that their Dominique has saved them so many times because they got this kill and then nothing could hit them and everything missed and whatever. But you're going to have to accept at some point in time that there's going to be people with Decimeter sets, there's going to be people with Beast Train sets, and those 3 pieces have a extra bonus of a total of 3,500 hit rate, which is another 35%. So if they have a couple swords equipped, you can't dodge them. Dominique is so squishy, so she's just like she's pretty good. I put her in tier 2, but God character, not at all. Jenny the Magician, I already said she's amazing. We'll get to her later. Nox is just too weak, to be honest. He's not strong enough. His skills and everything are built more around utility, and utility generally isn't actually that amazing for PvP. Certain utility types are, like Charm, because Charm is like the biggest tempo play you can have. It's like Stun, only instead of Stun they wouldn't attack one of their other characters, so they lose a turn, and that turn is spent hitting one of their own guys. So like that's an amazing thing. Stun's great in PvP too. Immobilize could be, but you're going to compare something like that to Charm or Stun? Not really. Even Confusion, usually the confused target goes and attacks whoever confused them, because the confused target's going to come up before that person's going to come up again. In most cases. It is possible that they have one of their teammates get killed and they take the priority of their turn or something like that and move somewhere else, but for the most part, they're the ones getting attacked. first tier. Momo the Rabbit, not first tier. Deborah the Magician, also not first tier. Moo the Exorcist, also not first tier. Serendi is definitely tier 1. Jenny is not first tier. Cleo is not first tier. Jin is maybe 3rd or 4th tier if you want to have, like, even make characters so bad that there's a 4th tier. But I don't understand how you can have this character here when we have a character named Kung Fu Girl Tao, so who is basically all of Jin's skills, only better with extra movement and a good passive, unlike her crappy passive. Well, you know what? Her passive would be great if she was a ranged DPS character, but she's not. She's a melee DPS character with 4 movement. She's useless. Any hero with 4 movement is not good in the 1 or 2 slots where you want to have your attack type heroes. So she should be, like, literally on the floor. Kitty the Android has literally got the lowest HP in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet here. Kitty. 18,317. Okay, it looks like she's tied. I think there's somebody lower. If you think Jillian or Deborah. Oh, wait, doesn't Deborah have high defense? Man, I'm not good at this. Yeah, Deborah has really high defense. Almost tank-like defense. Why is her defense so high? It's messed up. Okay. Oh, wait, doesn't... Actually, I think Kitty actually has high defense, too. Yeah, almost 2,000 defense. Oh, there we go. Mass has the lowest HP. Good to know if you're trying to build a healer for PvP that Mass is probably not your choice. And Carrot has the next lowest HP, lowest HP, I think 15,735. Yeah. So Kitty's gonna be way too squishy. Her health's too low. Her mana's huge. Her attack is mediocre. Her defense is really good for a not defense type hero. Excuse me, but she's not good. I don't know where this person is getting their ideas from. Maybe from the hitbox, from the skills, applying them based off of just exactly what they look like when he clicks on the skill and judges it by that, not by the actual shape of the map or the times or places you're going to be able to use it. No one likes third tier. Well, I don't think Lance belongs that low. But the rest of them actually do. Second tier heroes. Alright, Jillian is definitely... I don't want to put him in the first tier, but I really think he's a great, interesting hero, especially because Disarm can't be blocked. However, with the introduction of the new 5-star set, the Omnipotent and Omniscient set, you can remove debuffs 1 per turn. So people might be able to block Jillian in the future. It's basically what makes that set so good. It's got this shitty attack bonus. It's not much. Like, the potentials on the weapon are better than basically what you're going to get, because you can have both attack and damage on the potential, and then you get 15% attack damage from the set. But removing 1 debuff per turn is going to make heroes like Moo more useful, because Moo also has debuffs that she adds, and I believe it only removes 1 per turn. Along with stun. But for the most part, stun does stun, or charm does charm. Now, Serendi does charm and damage over time, so it would be interesting to see if the charm gets removed, or the damage over time gets removed. The only thing I don't know about that set is the priority at which it removes certain debuffs. So it could become a major part of PvP for high-level players, or ritual level players, depending on your perspective in the future. But we'll see how that goes. Pony the Phoenix, really nothing special about that. Probably a 3rd tier hero. Though I don't really know much about Pony, to be completely honest. Sonic Boom belongs in tier 2. But remember that his his second tier is actually his fourth tier. He has the runner-up, which is not in the gods, but is above the first. And Electra. Electra is not good at all. Anybody I know who's raised Electra, even people with money, have gone, damn, that is so disappointing. she's not good. Okay. Anyway, we're back up here. I would put Jenny Cleo, Moo, Deborah, and Momo all in very, very, very high in the second tier, but not quite first tier heroes. But they do not belong in the third-ish tier based off his thing. All those heroes I mentioned are better than all the heroes up here except for Chenny. Chenny's the only one that beats all of them, at least right now. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We're gonna give. I'm gonna go into maybe do some PvP. Just try and hope that I can get a map to explain some things. But some heroes are just not going to be able to do things that other heroes are going to do. Why I think that Sonic Boom is really underrated is because he has an instant death that has a wide area, and it gets up to be fairly high. So there's no protection against instant death for players. And I think that Sonic Boom might be one of the characters I might want to raise at some point in time. The only thing is, I would only find him useful in the third slot, and he's an attack type hero. And the thing is, Kai kind of just kills people on the third slot with pure damage and doesn't need crap like instant death right now. So I don't really find that there's like a great world for Sonic, but he's got 5 movement if memory serves, and he's got really good hitboxes for all of his skills. He's an attack type. Let's take a look at his stats real quick. Oh. Man, I fail at using tablets. Okay. Forget who I'm looking for already. The hell is your name, Sonic Boom? There we are. Okay, Sonic Boom. One of the lower healths, really high mana pool, 6,800 attack. Alright, so he's not too high in the attack. It's probably to make up for the fact that all of his skills have instant death. But that's fine. He's got fairly good everything else. Very high crit rate, base crit rate of 1130. Good defense. Oh, no, I'm reading Sion. His crit rate is still good, 700. Defense, 1600. He seems kind of mediocre in the stats, especially with his health being so low. But I think he's probably going to be one of the characters that makes a comeback at some point in time. He would be good for a rich person, but not particularly for for people on the lower levels. The biggest problem that he has is that there will always be a much better tier 1 version of him named Fruel, who's going to come into play before people realize Sonic Boom's even good. The Young Unsung Heroes is amazing because Bearman and Persona are basically tier 1 and 2. Persona is hard to place, to be honest, which is why I have him in tier 2. I don't think he can be tier 1. I just don't think he's good enough. But he's got some very interesting skills. So we'll see how he's used in the future before I make a final judgment for him. But until then, I'm going to be safe and not put him at tier 1, but I'm not going to put him at tier 4 or 3 or whatever. He's going to be tier 2. But whoever wrote this list, I don't understand. I don't understand what thoughts went into making this list. Kai the hero. Third skill is strong. Run out of mana and he'll be useless. Hey, you know what other hero is useless when they run out of mana? All of them. I don't understand what's going on with this person. I think a lot of people struggle with mana issues on Kai because they level up his skills too fast because they're too easy to get. and it gets out of proportion with his level, his rank, and he doesn't have MP potentials. I personally run 2 MP potentials on my Kai, and a lot of my accessories have like, 9 or 10 MP on them, whatever. I can cast his 3rd skill 3 times, and I'm pretty damn proud of that. He never ever suffers from MP shortages from me, because no games ever last more than 1 or 2 shots from a Kai. Anyway, just wanted to point out this tier list. Do not use it. It is absolutely terrible. There is 0 accuracy other than Chenny being... Well, you know what? Chenny being under Dominique, Carrot, and Jack is a laugh. Anyway. Oh, man. This might be a messy video. But we're going to go into the game. We're going to look at some heroes. I might play a PvP map and hope I get maybe the square map or the bridge map. The ice map is kind of a shitty map to demonstrate heroes. If you're wondering why I got Jack and Tao right now, I'm just sort of raising them for a PvE boss team. I think they'd be a really good combination with each other. Alright, so the way that we're going to do this tier list is I'm going to talk about tier slots for PvP. Because PvP is all I'm interested in. I'm going to skip any hero that I classify as PvE. Except for the ones that are commonly used in PvP mistakenly, in my opinion. Not that any hero can't perform with the right gear, just that these heroes just do not perform in general. They don't really accomplish the goal or do what they're supposed to do. So first, before we get into that, I'm going to explain what each role does. Slot 1, kills something. That's what your first slot does. Your first slot character is supposed to go and one-shot somebody. That is the goal of slot 1. Kill this, get a lead. That is your strongest foot forward. Slot 1 is supposed to kill somebody on the first turn, with the exception of the ice map, of course. Slot 2 is supposed to be another really strong hero with some decent utility. Like the problem is, slot 2 is like the universal good hero for everything. A very versatile, like damage and all that, and utility is great, but versatility needs to be the biggest thing. It needs to be a really good hero with high damage, not as high as your attacker, because the attacker, like the highest damage, is always going to be going first. But good enough damage to put down some smackdown. You want a little bit of some utility as a side effect. Really good passives that increase attack and things like that are great. If they have good permanent effects and whatever. Serendi is currently the best slot 2 hero ever. We're going to look at her just real quick. Her stats are freaking phenomenal, but she's got a 75% stun at max level, even though her skills are a pain in the ass to raise. And her passive is above 80% HP, which is fine. Like even now, my slot 1 and slot 2 heroes right now are Chenny and Serendi. Chenny's passive is HP has to be over 100, has to be full, 100% to activate her passive. But her passive is a 23% attack buff. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Serendi gets a, 14%? Yeah, a 14% attack buff, but gets 2 movement. Now, Serendi does suffer some movement issues. Well, go back there. But she is so good. I think she's got like 3 movement. The costume I have on gives her 4, and then her passive gives her 2 more. Or something like that. I think I also have a piece of equipment that gives her another one. Yeah, so I've got 2 movement on her, so it's probably from the... she has 4 movement, then plus the costume, and... There's no way. You know what? Whatever. I'll look at her movement when we go into a battle, but... My brain's not quite working all that well right now. But Serenity has basically everything. Her skills have the best hitboxes. Now, this plus sign or cross-shaped attack doesn't look like an ideal hitbox, but the 3 range and 3 range in all directions makes it one of the most versatile skills that you can have in PvP. Because we are playing on a grid like a chessboard, you will be able to arrange this hitbox in the most amount of ways possible. Jenny hits a wide 3x3 with the same range, but she only gets one direction. Jenny's Jenny's range covers an extra 3 slots compared. Serenity's range covers an extra 3 slots compared to Jenny's, and there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with Serenity based off the maps that we have right now. And we'll do that because she is so high rated. When we go and do a fight, we'll take a look at that. She also has a huge mana pool, so she can basically spam that shit all day. Anyway, third tier is basically like a sub-second tier. What you want third tier characters to be able to do is hit wide area, be able to take strong hits, because they're going to be having to face off against the slot 2 hero from your opponent every single time. They're never going to ever act before the slot 2 hero, so for the most part, like for example on the bridge map, they're going to be attacked constantly, so you want a hero that's more kind of tanky. Now, because of the square map, you also want a hero that can hit a wide area in a small space. Because generally on the square map, around turn 3 is when you have at least 2, if you went second, maybe even 3 targets, and depending on how tanky your tank is, they're all sitting right beside your tank. So something that can sweep in and smoke all those is super, super useful, and I haven't found any hero better than Kai that fits the role for the slot 3 hero yet. I'm not saying that one won't come out, or that other heroes don't work. Just that I haven't found one that works quite as good as Kai, especially considering how little of an investment you actually need in Kai to make him amazing, because his skills kind of scale really, 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 really well. Mostly because of how defense scales. Your 4th tier slot is a high aggro tank. Now, why a high aggro tank? And it's very simple. Aggro is not a PvE stat. I'm going to say that again. Aggro is not a player versus environment stat. Aggro is purely a PvP stat in Fantasy War Tactics. My Bearman has 2 sets of equipment on him right now. This adds 31% aggro. This adds 21% aggro. Now we have 52%. This passive skill adds 15%. So, generally, if a character is going to attack, I might be able to force them to attack me. If they are within range of Bearman, I can almost undoubtedly make them attack me. 2 out of 3 times they will attack Bearman, unless I've used this skill. If I have used this skill, I have 100% aggro. They can't attack anything else. What's amazing is I also get the same buff to my aggro that I do get to my defense, which is so good. I don't understand. Like I said, the person who wrote the tier list wrote that Bearman's kit seems to be all PvE, but in PvE there is 0 reason to even have aggro. Aggro is never a useful stat in PvE. It's weird to kind of say that, but generally you control where you're going around the map, and there's usually, if you were trapped in square, or let's say you're on the bedchamber maps where you're surrounded, the Queen's Bedchamber. If you're playing the Queen's Bedchamber map trying to farm gold, and every single slot is full, then, oh, well, great to have everything go and attack the tank, right? It's actually just better to kill everything since it's all weak. But if everything came and attacked that tank, let's say the AI went first, they would wipe your whole team for one. So that's why that just doesn't happen. Like in some maps, like the rock, what are those stupid? The rock golem dungeon. But your tank is gonna pull aggro from other characters in PvP and protect your other characters. Now, what makes Bearman so good beside Kai is that a lot of people run Serendi, a lot of people run Cleo, a lot of people run. Sorry, this is probably a bad time to be making a video while I'm so sick. A lot of people run Jenny, for example. All characters good against Kai. One, you don't want Kai to get chunked. Two, you don't want a paper hero that's strong enough to one-shot you, to walk right up into your face and kill you. Now, what's nice is a lot of these heroes, Chloe's usually not strong enough to kill Kai, unless she gets a really lucky crit, but I haven't found a Cleo that's been able to one-shot my Kai. Which is why I won't put her in tier 1. I get crit by her all the time, but I never get killed by her. She generally uses her confusion skill first, then my Kai goes and attacks from the face anyway. Now, you can generally get the players to attack your Bearman instead because you have aggro. The only time I found that having Bearman was not useful is when people run like a 3-rock team. If everybody, or maybe they run Kai in the first slot. People who run Kai in the first slot, they're really missing out, but they do have a small advantage against a Bearman tank because they'll be able to match up with him on the bridge map, and they might I think there was one Kai who even one-shot my Bearman with a crit. Now, as you can see with these monstrous stats, I'm working on a way to make that impossible. And as you can see, I got these stats with 2 aggro-based sets. Not increase HP by 30,000, increase HP by 2,300. Generally, you can get just good potentials. 6.4% HP gain. Down here we got 8.7% HP gain. Though I think I had the 10% on the, yeah, I have 10% on my Chris. Maybe I'll rank this up to the highest rank and try to re-roll the dodge into a defense, because if I could re-roll that dodge into a defense, then this would be my piece for sure. HP, defense, HP, defense, dodge, and damage taken. That's a pretty sweet set. If only the blue stat was the dodge, because Bearman's not dodging anything. And wouldn't you know it, HP percentage gains are crazy good. But Bearman I found is the best tank in terms of aggro pull. Like, there's a couple good sets, like the ones that have on them just make it so much easier, and I'm finding now that stacking aggro is great. But I find that Bearman's ability to basically give himself a 95% increase to defense and aggro with one skill cast, that makes him super, super valuable in PvP. In PvE, the reason I said that aggro isn't valuable is because you have too much control of the space in every single PvE map. There's very rarely a time where you're trapped, and for the most part, you'll only ever need to get attacked by your tank's going to take all the attacks anyway. Say you close in on the boss, your tank's going to be walking up right close to him, and all your ranged characters are going to be standing, 2 or 3 squares back all the time. The AI will hit the most targets it can, but it generally attacks the closest character. So a good majority of the time, you're just going to get attacked by knowledge of how the AI works, which is going to be kind of putting a point with, like, Jack, for example, takes most of the attacks as a PvE tank, and he doesn't have any aggro at all. What he has is a percentage damage to its target and a huge HP absorption to heal himself. Jack is so purely PvE. Not a big fan of Jack, but I think that putting him together with Tau would be pretty amazing, just because of this skill. This is the same weakening, highest weakening rate in the game, tied with Jin, but this gives a 2,000 defense decrease. It also gives Tau a defense increase, which is really, really great, because she's an attack type hero. Now you might be wondering, well, why not have this all the time? It's just because Jin can be attacked from far away and not get her buff. So that's just, she's defensive squishy-ish. What would be really nice is if you could pair her with somebody like Lena. My boss killing team is going to be Lena, Tau, Jack, maybe. I still haven't decided yet, because I don't know if I'm going to really need the tankiness, because I've got really good stuff. Like, look at my characters. My characters have higher stats as 4-star heroes than half the 5-star heroes in the game. 45,000 HP and almost 15,500 attack. What is this monster? Maybe I should get some potentials in there. Level up, level up. But anyways, enough of the nonsense. We're going to go straight into it. But those are basically the 4 roles you're going to be looking for characters. So, first, the damage dealers, who are the best, strongest hitters that have good versatility. What you're going to want is a first character that can't just kill something, but is free to move around. Like, you'll notice that my Jenny has, I'm lucky enough to be one of the people who actually has a ghost step set, sorry. But that adds an incredible amount of versatility for your first character. I do prefer the Pathfinder set over the Ghost Step set, but not for the first slot hero for the obvious reasons. You want your first slot hero to be able to go in, kill something, whatever. If you line up with something on the bridge map, for example, that's not ideal, maybe you can walk over to lane 2 and kill that if you have a Ghost Step. And you have a good ranged hero. So a melee hero is basically out of the question, because you're basically forced into fighting whoever you're fighting at the other end. Which is why I'm not building Tau for PvP. Purely PvE. Other heroes that work really well in slot 1. Carrot can be okay in slot 1, but not really. She's too squishy, and there's no tank in the game that she can one-shot, so she'll generally just get killed because she's so squishy that basically anything will kill her. But other really great slot 1 heroes, I'm talking about straight up, if you want to be tier 1, this is what you gotta be. The only heroes that really come to mind are, well, I'm gonna say that Dom can be slot 1, but the problem with her is her third skill is a 1 range, and you generally want to lead with your strongest. So like I said, if you have to move over to the next lane or something like that, or do something kind of more finesse-like and tricky, you don't really have the versatility with this because it's only 1 slot. 1 range skill. Her second skill is great, but you also have to consider how the AI is going to act, and it's going to go for whatever can hit with its third skill first. Combat Ranger rule. Psychokinetic Lee, who's not out yet, and Gunner Rage. Those are my top 4 picks. If you want to know in order, it goes Lee, Rage, Fruel, and then Chenny for the best slot 1 heroes. even if I had Rage, I probably personally would still use Chenny. Um, she's not as versatile in 1v1 killing, but her area range makes her a lot more useful on the ice map. Um, because I don't find I think Rage 2 maps out of 3 is better than Chenny. But I think that Chenny is just too useful of a hero in general. I also use my Chenny to solo dimensional breakthrough, and she's a very, very integral part of my gameplay and my party. Um, I think that Frul and Rage are very, very, very close, but Rage beats Frul. The only thing I don't really like about Rage is he's got an ability, his third ability that takes the mana. If he's fighting a scissor character, he gets added benefits. But he's the second highest, tied for the second highest attack in the game. If he's fighting a scissor character, they should just be dead. So why does he need this? He looks like he's built to be a bearman killer. But the armor reduction isn't enough to even lower bearman 2 or 3%. At the rate you're going to be getting armor with bearman, I think it caps out around 2,000 defense. It lowers it by. But my bearman, for example, at 55% defense, has 8,700 defense. So it's really not, like, over 6,000 defense is still going to keep me relatively close to 50%. So it's really not going to be that impactful of a skill against the tank which he's going to be lining up against. I'm okay with rocks against my scissor bearman because I generally just don't die. But Rage has a very, very high attack and a very good skill against Bearman. So maybe if somebody really decked out a Rage, he'd be able to one-shot Bearman. But if I ever get an Eldrika's Trinity set, that's not going to happen. Ever. And if I could be one-shot with an Eldrika's Trinity set, then I'd probably just put on a Pathfinder also. Anyway. Tanks are extremely important in PvP. But those are going to be your top tier 1 heroes for slot 1. Now, some other heroes that people are using in slot 1. Like I said, Carrot, for example, a lot of people using Serendi in slot 1, a lot of people using Kai in slot 1. I don't think that those characters belong in slot 1. Of the top players, I've seen Chris in slot 1. Even at a top tier level, I think Aaron Sun runs his Chris in slot 1 right now. He runs 2 tanks. That's the reason he has it in slot 1. I've seen Nox in slot 1. I don't think any of those heroes are good at slot 1. Me personally, I don't think any of these heroes are, well, you know what, not good, but not ideal. Their strengths are better somewhere else. Carrot, for example, on the bridge map, with her movement and her range, in the second slot can hit 3 lanes with her third skill. So why would you take one of those options away for an attack type character with 5 range when you're not going to be attacked first anyway? Because your first and second hero, like, speaking specifically of the bridge map, your first and second heroes are not going to be attacked. That's just generally how it works. On the square map, Carrot sits in the far back corner, the safest place for the squishy tank to be. Usually sitting right behind Jack, the most commonly used tank in the game. Exactly where she wants to be. On the ice map, she'll be off in the back corner, which means she'll be coming up the middle when everything else is crunched in the center, which will be nice for her third skill. Again, she's a very good hero. She can be, anyway, in the second slot. But as a first slot hero, you're putting her in too many trouble positions. She's not being used ideally, and she's not going to be working out very well for you. She's always in the more dangerous, less versatile position in the first slot than she is in the second slot. Her place is always better in the second slot. As for tier 2 first slot heroes, I would probably go with Dominique, Cleo, already passed her. I can't remember her name. Jenny. Jenny, definitely. For oh, sorry. You know what? I'm talking about tier slot 1 heroes. Forgive me for that. I started naming off the tier 2 slot 2 heroes. Some good heroes for slot 1. Yeah, they're very hard to find. Like the problem is the 4 that I named as the top tier. They have a pretty strong clinch on it. I can't really think of any other characters that are ideal or do well in slot 1. Um, uh, Unknown is half decent because he's one of the strongest papers, but he is a melee unit, so he has no versatility. He can only really see what's in front of him. But Spirits, for example, runs Unknown in his first slot, and he is a very rich man. So everything he does is generally good and strong as everybody else. But I'd like to probably argue that a lot of the tier 2 slot 1 heroes are the slot 2 heroes because they have very similar roles. So things like Serendi or Carrot or Deb, they're all good-ish slot 1 heroes. It's just they are way better in slot 2. And moving on to slot 2, Serendi is the only tier 1 slot 2 hero. Only one. And it's not because there are no good slot 2 heroes. It's because Serendi is so much better than every slot 2 hero in the game that she needs her own tier. Other good slot 2 heroes for tier 2, there are plenty of them. There's Jenny, there's Carrot, there's Deb. Nox is good for a slot 2. What I like about slot 2 hero, we're going to talk about the bridge map a lot based off this comparison because it seems to be everybody's kind of favorite map. Everybody kind of likes the idea of my 1v1 versus you. Every hero 1v1ing each other, my heroes versus your heroes. Let's just get in there and fight it out. A lot of people hate the square map because especially if the other team's stronger than them, they feel helpless because there's nowhere for them to hide or do anything tactically. There's just a big there's nowhere to run, so let's just go for it kind of thing. But a lot of people like the 4-lane map because they can rearrange their rock, paper, scissors to your rock, paper, scissors in reverse order. Nox will be attacking the 3rd hero for you, and the 3rd hero is usually going to be some kind of area high damage sweeper. And if he can immobilize them, that's great. Especially if their team goes first, because if they have a Serendi in slot 2, for example, it wouldn't be able to cure the status of the immobilize. Don't put down Serendi 2 as a one-trick pony. Her debuff removing is so good. It's really good. Saves me all the time now. Alright, other slot 2, good slot 2 heroes. Like we said, Dominique and Chloe. Going through here, Lena would be a great slot 2 hero. Maybe one of the best, actually. I think Unknown would be a good slot 2 hero also. I've been thinking a long time about where I would put Unknown in a team if I was having to use him for PvP. I think he's more of a PvE hero. To me, it looks like he was designed to help you beat the Rock Cuckoo dungeon, stage 10. That's what it looks like to me. Let's see, who else will be a great hero for slot 2? Any tier 1 hero. Any slot 1 hero is basically just as good in slot 2. But because of their overwhelming presence and versatility, they get slot 1 because you always do that first. But they would all be good. If you couldn't decide, or for some reason you have some strategy where you want to have this hero first, like Rage Lee, whenever he comes out, hopefully soon. Fruel, Chenny even, would be decent in slot 2. Anything under a tier 2 hero is not playable. There's either this or these. Anything else, they're just not good. Momo was another tier 2 hero that I missed. Slot 2 hero, sorry. But generally, like, a lot of people think Mu is like god at PvP because of the 100% stun rate. Stun immunity is the most common immunity on the ladder. Gotta say that right now. You can't count on her. And for some reason, no matter how well you treat her, she still doesn't do very good damage for reasons I don't understand. No idea why. Okay, third slot. Now, third slot are sweepers. Like I said, tanky because you're going to be able to take attacks. Good area damage. So, not tanky right away should knock out characters like Kitty from your list who have such low HP. They should knock out characters like Deb from your list. Now, there's some really damn tanky Debs out on the ladder, but they have very ridiculous gear. And it's because Deb is likely the first 5-star hero you get. Because a lot of people don't race Kai. I don't know why, but they just don't. But good third slot heroes, they need to be able to take a hit. Now, if you're rich, you can build attack type characters with 70 to 80,000 HP. Spirits Unknown has 90,000 HP. Aaron Sun's Momo has 80,000 HP. It's easy to do. So if you have, like I said, if you're independently wealthy, then yeah, certain characters, they could kind of do a lot of good roles. But your first slot and your fourth slot are the ones that are kind of irreplaceable for what they do. And there's always going to be one character that's the best at what it is. Almost undeniably so. Well, you should also have some good synergy with your party. So a lot of your choices might be based off of the fact that you're using too many rocks or too many papers and things like that. Like, I would never use Jack in PvP because Serendi and Kai are so good that why the hell would I put a third, like, if I put a third rock in, then I'm just going to get everybody throwing all the paper heroes at me all day long. So I would never ever use Jack. Rock is too exclusively owned by, there are so many good rock heroes. But like I was going on, slot 3, Lily would be a good slot 3. Very, very good slot 3, actually. Lily's a very underrated slot 3. Henry himself also is a kind of underrated, could be a good slot 3. His skills are okay. I just don't like his effects, to be honest. He'd probably be at the lower end of tier 2. But like everything he has kind of, it's all increase attack. Things that are on certain heroes should trigger something in your brain. This character was balanced around this thing, and they're going to pay for it. Now, most really good heroes are good on their first turn in combat all the way through, not over time. Especially attack type heroes because they're not usually that tanky. I think Henry probably is pretty tanky if you build him properly, but if you build a character like this too properly, then he's going to be too tanky. He's going to suffer from hit rate and crit rate. And hit rate and crit rate are really important for DPS characters. Especially crit rate. Dolores is Shrek. If you've seen Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. Jillian is an ideal-ish third slot hero if you're in the lower brackets. Like, if you're in the top 1,000, or even in the top 500, Jillian would be a great third slot hero. He was a better second slot hero, in my opinion, but he would be an okay third slot hero. If you don't want to raise Kai for whatever reason, and you want somebody who's got good area, maybe you don't have a team strong enough that can just go around one-shotting other characters. You Might as well use Jilin and disarm them instead, because disarm is an unblockable status with guaranteed benefits. You can only cure it with, well, you know what? If a hero that has some kind of cure like Serenity gets hit by disarm, she can't cure it off anybody else either. Simple as that. But Jilin is really good. I think he's pretty underrated. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of him in the future. It's just he's really, really squishy. He's kind of a glass cannon, so he'd be on the lower end of tier 2 third slots for me. Okay, other good third slots. Dominique works okay in the third slot if dodge is really good at where you are at in the ladder. Unknown is a good third slot. Lance or Alex is an amazing third slot. Probably second only to Kai, in my opinion. He's just so good. His stats are too high. His area attacks are too good. And his range is outrageous. And he's got aggro, so he can off-tank. The only downside about him in the third slot, as opposed to the fourth slot, is that he might pull aggro from your tank. Now, fourth slot heroes. For tanking. Bearman, Chris, and Jack, kind of a rock, paper, scissors, like real life kind of relationship where this is good against this is good against that. Bearman is the tankiest, is the highest HP and whatever. Jack does % damage of HP. And he's rock, so he's pretty good against Bearman on a one-on-one fight. If he has stun immunity anyways. If he doesn't have stun immunity, he'll probably get his ass kicked. He also has an extra movement, so he'll be able to have the right of engagement over Bearman. Now, Chris has defense reduction. Now, if Jack can heal a little bit, that's cool, but defense reduction means that Chris's next hit's going to hit twice as hard, and he won't be able to keep up. So, generally, in PvP, Jack doesn't hit enough to actually heal anything useful. Until it's very, 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 very late game and you have people walking around with 100,000 health. Other than that, in the lower stages, anything under 50,000 health, Jack he's not healing anything that's going to change anything in any fights for you. He's, for the most part, just going to get smacked down. And Chris is going to do very well against Jack to their paper advantage for one, and her defense reduction, and then following up with a stun. Jack is really only good against super high HP scissor heroes and nothing else. And the reason that it doesn't matter if you have your tank is the better version of, like the counter version of my tank, it doesn't matter at all. Because the tanks will almost never fight each other. They're never going to be anywhere near each other. Which is why Bearman's still the most OP. But those are the three main tanks that you're going to be seeing the most in PvP. Golem Lance. D-Tune used Golem Lance, and he was so rich it was insane. And he had a lot of really good stuff on his Lance. But I would still put Golem Lance a lot farther underneath Bearman. He's got higher defense, but is not in anything else. The only other character I can think of is Lancer Alex, who works as an off-tank, not a main tank, but he can be built with a semi-decent amount of aggro. Now, the only thing that I don't like about his aggro is that he really doesn't. Like, I don't know how this scales. I'm assuming it goes up by 2.5 per time. So it's going to be like a 20-something%, or maybe it's 1% each time. But let's just say it's 2.5 for argument's sake. I don't have them, so I can't look it up right now. But his aggro is going to be at best like 20 to 25% of the time. which isn't going to be any good for any impactful effects on battles. Like making heroes that are really close to other heroes go so far out of their way to hit your tank instead. That is very, very rarely going to happen, and he can't use any equipment that increases aggro because they're all defense type characters only. I really wish that he was a defense type character that just had 7,000 attack. I would love that. But I would say that the best tank is Bearman. The second best tank is Lancer Alex. The worst tank is Jack. And Chris is better than Jack as a tank because like their defensive stats, which are the only important ones in this case, are for the most part the same. But Chris has defense reduction and stun for utility, where Jack just has drain. Drain is good for Jack, but not good for the team. And it's very important to have things that are good for your team because your tank is going to be your real support role. Support type characters, not that useful in PvP because all the support is done by your tank. I'm going to do a quick round of PvP right now. Those are the 4 roles. That's my opinion on what characters are the best for them. Now, I know I skipped a lot of heroes. Some really good heroes. You might be thinking about Tao, for example. Like I said, I'm building her purely for PvE. Lena is a good hero, but I think that she, again, will shine more in PvE. Nox is a great hero. I think he will shine more in PvE. Which is why I'm taking my time raising heroes like that right now, because I have such good gear at this point in time that I can do everything in the game without needing such good strategy or utility on my characters. I can just straight up kill everything. So that's kind of boring, but at the same time it's more efficient, so I really don't care. But with the tower, it's getting kind of difficult to just walk through things. So I am now working on building a very slow build, by the way. A team that's going to be able to beat the crap out of any boss very, very convincingly. Or just walk around the map and just like completely decimate things. I'm going to need some aggro items on Jack to do that, unfortunately, because Tower, I think aggro actually might be semi-useful, but it's not anywhere near as useful as it is in PvP. Alright, let's see where we're at right now. 2nd, who beat me? Oh, Aaron, he's been watching all night. 3 points. Got revenged. Ooh, defended against revenge. I always like seeing that. Defending against revenge is like the biggest slap you can do in somebody's face. If you're wondering, so far this season I have 0 losses. So it's just all wins in my world. Pretty damn useful. I did take some screenshots of Aaron's son and Spirits on multiple occasions because they were actually losing battles to me at the beginning. I got a lot of really good gear recently, and I think I've built things extremely efficiently. So, and I think my teams are better than theirs in terms of character composition. So I was able to take them by surprise a few times. Though I'm sure that they've wised up enough by now to find ways on, because we only have 3 maps, it's very easy to have a plan against the better players. Alright, we got the bridge map, so this is pretty fantastic. Alright, so like I said, versatility with your first slot hero. I'm probably going to go right over and kill this Serendi. The reason I'm going to do that is not because I can't kill Deb. It is not because I can't kill Deb. It's because my Serenity is a beast. Now, he has Carrot in slot 1. It's going to be matched up against Bearman, and Bearman's going to kill him in one shot. And unfortunately, his Chenny... Even if Chenny does get a chance to act, which it will not because I got the blessing of going first, wouldn't be strong enough to kill Kai. Let's confirm that by actually touching it. 20,000 attack is not even close to enough to kill Kai. Alright. All my heroes have amazing potentials, good stats, high defense, high HP, high attack. They also have high hit rate. With the exception of Bearman's hit rate, because he doesn't get a Dacimeter set. Anyway, this is what I mean by... I'm going to be able to demonstrate a lot of really cool things here, especially with the versatility. And the reason why Serenity is the undisputed best second slot hero in the game is going to come out here. Bearman being the best tank is going to come out here. And Ghost Step's invaluability, and the reason you want to have such a versatile first slot hero is going to be demonstrated right now. It's so good being so much stronger. Oh, 18,000 damage. Man, I don't know if I'll be able to stand up to 7 more of those. It's a shame. Really is a shame. Even with the defense decrease, I'm down to 52.97%. Now, does everybody see that? No, my Serenity does have one more movement than most Serenities, because right now she has a Pathfinder set. Before that, I had a Lava Chaser set that I was lucky enough to get. But there's a couple pieces, like the Lumen Hymn, they're all usually SS pieces, but if you can get an extra movement on Serenity, then she's going to go from amazing to unbelievably amazing. So even without it, there's still a lot of cool tricks with Serenity. Like without it, I probably would have killed the Deb and then just killed the this person's Serenity with mine. Either way, or try to get a stun down on her first, but basically I'm going to one-shot these two heroes. Now, this plus sign attack is so good on this map. Oh, I didn't kill Deb. Oh, damage over time did. Now, I don't really want to kill this with Kai, but I kind of want to demonstrate his overpoweredness. But we'll leave that to another day. Let's just let the tank clean this up with one shot. Paper is probably the weakest slot one you can get right now, and the strongest at the same time. Because if you run into Bearman, there's no first slot paper that even stands the slightest hint of a chance. And the problem is there's so many jacks. So ranking up to the top ranks, if you are like more competitive getting up to the top, it's going to be, there's this and this and this and this, I should really, really, really do this, and then it's just not going to work out for you once you get to the top ranks. This is very different. We're going to do one more. Got my fingers crossed on square map, but I'd be fine with the bridge again if they went first this time so we can see some different angles. Going first and second on the bridge map makes a world of difference to how you're going to act. And we got the shittiest map in the game. Well, that was kind of lousy. First thing you want to do on this map is check to see if your opponent has any huge movement, speed buffs in the center. And when you find that they don't, you come right here. Do not take that spot that gives the mana buff when all your heroes are at full mana, and you do not need it. Because what would have happened in this situation is I would have been just straight up attacked by his Chenny going into the middle. But generally, you wait for them to cross the bridge, and then you just smack them in the face really hard. I'm not going to be doing that. I'll probably just hope that my Serenity can... sorry, my... let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be a great move if Serenity wasn't standing exactly right there, but... sorry, Serenity, Chunny. I keep saying Serenity instead of Chunny. I'm just going to hope that I can... Yeah, good. I didn't get charmed, so I'm going to go kill Lancer. Oh, we can't kill Lancer Alex, unfortunately, because that'll give Serenity another movement, so we're going to have to try and kill her first. Oh, I love having ice advantage here. Man, the range on this guy is ridiculous. Let's see if we can make him attack Bear Man. Surprise! And Chenny gets a 4-0. Hooray! And the crowd goes wild. Okay, I'm going to do 1-1 more. And I'm just going to hope we get the 1, 1, and 1, and I get a square map. Or, you know what, I changed my mind, because I think I'm actually out of battle swords right now. I don't want to pay any crystals for the video. Well, you know, it's 4 minutes, so for the 4 minutes, I'll be fine. By the way, everybody that I'm playing here is, I think, in the top 10, if not the top 20. Korean names are hard to place. Oh, Fly Jude's fallen down to 15th. Alright. Anyway, that's fine. I'll hang on for another 4 minutes. Until then, we're going to talk about formation alternates. Now, these are the ideal greatest heroes that you can have on your team as of right now, with the exception of Chenny and... just with the exception of Chenny. If you have Gunner Rage, and you find that there's more scissor tanks that you're running into, or whatever, then he would be better in slot 1. Now, what I find is the most second and third slot heroes are Paper and Rock. Jack is the most common tank because he's the easiest one for PvP, and most people raise Jack as their tank. So because a very large majority of people are raising Jack as their tank, he'll normally be their PvP slot 4. Unless I don't know about the good formation alignment. But he'll normally be on their team in slot 4. Now, if he's in slot 4, then that takes away one of your rock slots from the middle. So what you'll have, let's say that somebody was running Rage and Jack. Now both your center slots are Paper. Now, my Chenny has a Ghost Step, which is really, 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 really important. If you're thinking long term, well, you do at least want one Ghost Step, which is going to be hard to do. Might take a lot of Tower of Dawn's runs for you to be able to do something like that, but don't give up. Have a goal in mind for where you want to be at the end of the game, and just go for it. But I think because there's so many rock characters in play, that a lot of people are running a huge amount of papers now. It used to be at first, rock heroes are just really, really, really good. So people are just using really, really good heroes. And then people thought, paper heroes aren't that great, but there's so many rock heroes. So now my paper heroes are super paper heroes. Because there's always 2 rock heroes in every formation. Well, look at this. I got 2 rock heroes in my formation. But I generally find that having a first slot character that can walk into the middle of the map is very good against paper slot heroes in the middle. A scissor tank is also very good against first slot paper heroes. So if you have some good rationality behind it, it's like there's more than enough freedom with how you can play with your characters. Now, I frequently run with this formation. Let me just go back in so it's easier to look at. I run with this formation a lot. Actually, I used to run with this formation almost exclusively while I didn't have Serenity and Bearman skills high enough for really good, solid play yet. But they're very, very good in the slots that they're in. Chris has a passive aggro that's really great, and she'll usually be able to hold aggro very, very well because she'll be close and have the aggro benefit, for example, in the square map. Carrot is a good DPS that can be in a very safe spot and reach for a very long, for a very wide distance. So they were great, but only in the presence of extreme amounts of rock type characters. Now I still prefer this, even if they have heavy rock. Okay, looks like we've got our sword up, so let's go and fight Flyjune and get our extra 2. I will post some PvP videos in the future. Once I have more characters maxed out, especially in the early stages, maybe actually at the beginning of next season, I will put together a 4-star team, and I will level up with my 4-star team. Just to use a few different characters at lower levels of play that don't have the most amazing gear in the world and things like that. We'll just see how it turns out. What do you got? Nothing? Okay. On this map, I basically always auto turn 2, 3, and 4. So they always go exactly where I would put them. And this map really needs a speed boost. Now, this is something I've noticed in PvP. Serenity on this side of the map, if Serenity is in slot 2, we'll come to that square. If she's in slot 3, she'll come to the one just in front of Carrot. So she'll be 1 rank behind. I believe it's because I put a character in first. So this position will always be open to you if they have that their Serenity in slot 2. Now Serenity, that's where Serenity belongs, in slot 2, but this is just an opportunity kind of thing that I noticed, because Serenity is one of the bigger threats in the game, but she's generally not that tanky, which is why I put my first Pathfinder set on Serenity. Just a little trick for you to notice. Now, that Jack is probably going to go for the Sigil, because AIs are Sigil crazy. He probably won't even attack me, which is fantastic. I'm going to leave the Carrot alive, because I'd rather kill... whatever, who am I kidding? I can kill this thing with an auto attack. Let's just let Jack have another turn. Not much action for Kai ever since I got extra battle suits for every character. And since I couldn't roll a square map to save my life. I really, really, really want to do a square map for demonstration. So I'm going to try one more time. Again. Maybe 2 more times if I can't get it. And if I can't get it, then I'm really sorry. Aaron's son, let's see how it works against him. And then we'll do Lamian. They're top something right now. Now, Aaron's son's team is very strong. He's got some really good gear. Not the most ideal heroes on his team, in my opinion, but he's got a really strong team. And we are on the map that most benefits Aaron, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to skip his Jack and hope I don't get dodged. Oh my goodness, I did not kill that. I'm going to have to invest in a few thousand more attack for Jenny. Okay, well, this is unfortunate that I have to do this. You know what? No, it's fine. Okay. I am going to... Oh, this is a tough call. Okay, the tough call about this is because I didn't kill this, left him with a 9,000 HP left. Oh, that's a tanky Momo. Because he's still here now, I know because he's got double ghost step that this Deb, almost for an absolute certainty, is going to go and attack my defense debuffed Bearman. So I kind of want to kill her. If I don't kill her, then Chenny will die. I think I'm going to go with Chenny dies. And I didn't kill this one either, so this is not working out well for me at all. Oh! No, I don't know why she went over there and then attacked Serenity, but that's perfectly fine. Maybe I'll be the one that gets lucky and I'll dodge Momo. Or I'll just survive, that's fine. The best part about what I did with Chenny first turn is that now his Jack isn't going anywhere. And I don't understand why his Deb is going to get to go before me now. I guess it's just because I killed his first slot hero. Alright, well, we're going to take out Momo. Well, where could that crit have been? Maybe on turn 1. Guy's going to kill Deb. And Chenny's going to get killed by Jack. That's perfectly fine, though. Okay, now this might be semi-difficult because he just got a Trinity set on that Jack. He also has the drill set for counterattack, so that's tough too. I think he's got stun immunity, but I can't be sure, because you're not allowed to check that in here. I think I'm going to try for a stun just for experiment's sake, but I probably should actually up my defense and aggro. The downside is I don't think I have another cast with Kai right now, so I'm going to have to go with the stun attempt. Alright, he doesn't have stun immune yet. Alright, so we're going to weaken... Oh, wow, that was a lot that he just regen. I'm going to weaken him. Oh, wow. That counterattack set's actually really working out well for him. Wow, this Jack is actually giving me so much trouble. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to beat it. Oh man, how much HP does he have again? Oh man, not being able to cast my Kai's third skill has really screwed me here. Gonna have to try for another stun. Alright, good. What in the frick? Oh man, this was so close. Okay. Now I think I'm thinking to myself, if I ever get this bridge map again, I might actually prioritize killing Jack sooner. But his regen, Aaron has high priority on regen for his Jack, because there's just so much synergy with his other skills. But that was really close for some reason. That's probably the closest fight I've had all week. I guess that extra Eldrika's Trinity set is really helping him out. Still wasn't able to get a square map yet for some goddamn reason. Now, I'm thinking about in the future on that map, I might want to run a carrot instead of Serenity. And I got the ice map again, so this has been a shitty day for square map PvP, which sucks because I think square map is the greatest. But we're just going to have to end the video here. I might even trim out that last one so Aaron doesn't see it. No, I would never do something like that. Everybody loses matches sometimes, so I just didn't think that I was going to even be that close. I kind of want to keep that one open. That was a little bit of a misplay on my part, but having my back turned there. Oh God, I hate this map so much. Alright, well that's going to be it for this. Hope there was some useful information in here. I'll leave a note that you can skip the PvP or whatever in the beginning because I don't really get to do what I want to do. I don't really like these opponents either. Maybe I'll reset here. I don't like these ones even more. What do we got here? Well, I don't really have very good revenge targets right now. There was one, yeah, I didn't do this one down here. This person might climb up later, so I'm kind of saving them till they reappear. Oh, they're not going to reappear, but I'm kind of saving them. This is something I really like to see when somebody's lost to me and then revenged. Sorry, not revenged, but played again right away. It's kind of funny. Because I can actually see what his fourth hero is, even though it's blocked. I don't have to go look it up in the rankings. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I hope that this was somewhat informative. Not the most professionally done tier list of all time, but I hope it was okay.